At the very top of our planet lies the Arctic, a vast, frozen ocean that stretches across the northernmost reaches of the globe, shrouded in mystery and wonder. This is a place where the boundaries between land, sea, and sky blur beneath endless expanses of ice. The Arctic is surrounded by the northernmost lands of nations like the United States, Canada, Russia, and Greenland, each with its own unique connection to this remote region. These countries share stewardship of a landscape that is both harsh and breathtakingly beautiful. For millennia, this region has symbolized untouched wilderness, governed by long, dark winters and brief, sunlit summers. The Arctic seasons are extreme. Months of polar night give way to endless daylight, creating a rhythm of life found nowhere else on Earth. The Arctic is more than a remote cold place. It's a key player in Earth's climate, acting as the planet's air conditioner. Its influence extends far beyond its icy borders, shaping weather and climate patterns across the globe. Its white ice and snow reflect much of the sun's energy, keeping the planet cool, a process called the albedo effect. Without this natural mirror, our world would absorb more heat, accelerating global warming. The Arctic's cold drives powerful ocean currents and weather patterns that shape climates far beyond its borders. These currents help regulate temperatures and distribute nutrients, supporting life in distant oceans. What happens in the Arctic doesn't stay there. It ripples across the globe, influencing everything from rainfall in distant continents to the severity of storms and droughts. Indigenous communities have thrived here for thousands of years, their cultures deeply connected to the ice and seasons. Their knowledge and traditions are woven into the fabric of the Arctic, offering wisdom about survival and adaptation in this challenging environment. But this enduring balance is now being disrupted at an unprecedented speed, demanding our urgent attention. The ice is melting faster than ever before, threatening wildlife, cultures, and the stability of our climate. Our journey today explores the dramatic transformations unfolding across the Arctic and how they connect to all of us. The changes here are not isolated, they are signals of a planet in flux, with consequences that reach every corner of the Earth. Let's venture north and witness the unraveling of our planet's icy crown. Together, we'll discover why the Arctic matters and what its future means for us all. The Arctic is changing faster than anywhere else on Earth, transforming before our very eyes at a pace that's both breathtaking and alarming. The very definition of what we once considered normal in the Arctic is being rewritten, as landscapes shift and ecosystems struggle to keep up. Winters are now shorter and milder, while summers stretch longer and grow warmer, throwing the natural rhythms of life into confusion. Animals and plants that have adapted over millennia are suddenly out of sync with the seasons. Extreme weather is the new normal here. Summer heat waves scorch the tundra, winter rain falls on Greenland's ancient ice, and wildfires smolder beneath the snow, sometimes reigniting months later. These events, once considered rare or even impossible, now happen with unsettling frequency. They are the new face of the Arctic, a region in constant upheaval. The warming isn't slow or subtle. It's marked by shocking milestones. In recent years, Siberian towns north of the Arctic Circle have seen temperatures soar above 100°C, shattering records and expectations. Massive storms fueled by warmer oceans and shifting wind patterns now batter Arctic coastlines. These storms erode permafrost cliffs and threaten the very existence of coastal communities, forcing people to adapt or relocate. The Arctic's climate system is losing its stability, becoming increasingly erratic and unpredictable. Weather can shift dramatically in a matter of hours, leaving both wildlife and people vulnerable. Thawing permafrost is releasing ancient carbon and methane, powerful greenhouse gases that create a dangerous feedback loop, accelerating warming and amplifying the changes already underway. Sea ice is vanishing at an unprecedented rate, shrinking in both extent and thickness. This not only disrupts the lives of iconic Arctic species like polar bears, but also weakens the Arctic's role in regulating the planet's climate. We're not just watching a landscape change, we're witnessing a planetary system being pushed into a new, uncertain state, with consequences that reach far beyond the Arctic itself. The Arctic is now the epicenter of a grand, unsettling climate experiment, one whose outcome will shape the future of our entire planet. Why is the Arctic heating up so much faster than the rest of the planet? This question has puzzled scientists and concerned people around the world for decades, as the changes here are both dramatic and alarming. The answer lies in a phenomenon called Arctic amplification, a process that makes the region especially sensitive to climate change. As sea ice melts away, it exposes the dark ocean water beneath. Unlike the bright reflective ice, this open water absorbs much more sunlight, soaking up heat instead of bouncing it back into space. This extra heat causes even more ice to melt, creating a vicious cycle. Scientists call this a positive feedback loop, where warming leads to more warming, accelerating the entire process. The atmosphere also plays a crucial role. As temperatures rise, the air can hold more water vapor, which is itself a powerful greenhouse gas. This traps even more heat in the region, compounding the warming effect. As the Arctic continues to warm, more water evaporates from the increasingly open seas. This not only adds to the greenhouse effect, but also changes local weather patterns, making the region even more unpredictable. Meanwhile, shifts in ocean currents and atmospheric circulation are delivering more warmth from lower latitudes directly into the Arctic, further fueling the rapid changes we see today. While the rest of the world is running a fever, the Arctic is suffering from a raging infection on top of it, a much more intense and accelerated version of global warming. The initial warming from greenhouse gases is just the beginning. Local feedbacks like melting ice and increased water vapor amplify the effect, causing temperatures to spike at rates far above the global average. That's why scientists often call the Arctic the canary in the coal mine for global climate change. The dramatic shifts here are early warning signs for the rest of the planet. In many ways, the Arctic is experiencing the future of our planet in fast forward, showing us what could happen elsewhere if global warming continues unchecked. The warmer Arctic is now a breeding ground for once unimaginable weather extremes. Heat waves in Siberia have shattered records, turning tundra and forests into tinderboxes. Massive wildfires now burn for months, releasing huge amounts of carbon and sending smoke around the globe. These fires create a dangerous feedback loop. Warming leads to fires, and fires lead to more warming. As sea ice vanishes, open water absorbs heat, fueling powerful autumn storms with hurricane-force winds. These storms drive waves and surges onto coastlines, eroding land and threatening communities built on permafrost. Precipitation extremes are rising too. Some areas face drought, others intense rainfall. In 2021, rain fell for the first time on Greenland's ice sheet summit, accelerating melting. Rain on glaciers acts as a powerful melting agent, speeding ice flow toward the ocean. These new extremes, fires, storms, heat and rain, are signs of a climate system pushed far from stability. The Arctic's weather is now a preview of global extremes to come. The most visible sign of Arctic change is the melting of its ice, both floating sea ice and land-based glaciers. Each summer, more sea ice melts than refreezes in winter, leaving the Arctic Ocean with less, thinner ice. Scientists predict a nearly ice-free Arctic Ocean in summer within decades. This loss disrupts the marine food web, from tiny phytoplankton to polar bears, rewiring the entire ecosystem. On land, the Greenland ice sheet is melting at an accelerating rate, adding water to the ocean and raising global sea levels. Meltwater carves channels through the ice, lubricating its base and speeding its flow to the sea. Warmer ocean waters eat away at glacier edges, causing them to retreat and break apart. Greenland alone holds enough ice to raise sea levels by over 20 feet if it all melted. The Arctic's great melt is a direct threat to coastlines worldwide. Arctic changes don't stay in the north, they reshape weather across the globe. The jet stream, a high-altitude river of wind, is powered by the temperature difference between the Arctic and mid-latitudes. As the Arctic warms, this contrast shrinks, weakening and destabilizing the jet stream. The result? The jet stream becomes wavier and slower, causing weather patterns to stall. Stuck weather means prolonged cold snaps, heat waves, droughts or floods far from the Arctic. Polar vortex events and record heat waves are echoes of Arctic disruption. The rapid Arctic warming is fundamentally altering the world's weather rhythms. Our climate's conductor is losing its rhythm, making global weather more chaotic and unpredictable. For the 4 million people and countless animals in the Arctic, climate change is a daily crisis. Thawing permafrost destabilizes buildings, roads, and entire villages, forcing some communities to relocate. Indigenous peoples' traditional hunting and fishing are threatened as sea ice becomes thinner and less reliable. Animal migration patterns are shifting, making food sources unpredictable. Polar bears, walruses, and other wildlife are struggling as their habitats vanish. Polar bears spend more time on land, away from their main food source, leading to malnutrition. Walruses crowd onto land, risking deadly stampedes. Southern species move north, competing with native Arctic life and altering ecosystems. Even the tundra is changing, as shrubs and new plants move in, affecting grazing animals. Every living thing in the Arctic is being forced to adapt or face decline. The Arctic's fate is tied to all of us, no matter where we live. Melting ice sheets and glaciers are raising sea levels, threatening coastal cities worldwide. Higher seas mean more destructive storm surges and frequent flooding, even on sunny days. The economic costs are huge. Disrupted agriculture, damaged infrastructure, and rising food prices. As the Arctic Ocean opens, new shipping routes and resource access bring risks of geopolitical tension and environmental disaster. The Arctic's stability is crucial for the global economy and climate. The impacts are felt most by indigenous peoples, who contributed least to the problem, raising questions of justice and responsibility. Caring about the Arctic is a humanitarian issue. Our actions shape its future and our own. We are all part of a single, interconnected planetary system. The Arctic's transformation is a warning and a call to action. The melting ice, raging fires, and storms are messages about the consequences of disrupting Earth's balance. We now understand the science, and we have the technology to shift away from fossil fuels. The challenge is one of will and cooperation, not knowledge. Our choices today will determine the future of the Arctic and the planet. The story of the Arctic is our story, a test of our responsibility as a global community. We are all connected by the air we breathe and the climate we share. The path ahead is not set in stone. We can choose a different future. By acting together, we can stabilize our climate and preserve the Arctic's icy crown. The fate of this pale blue dot is in our hands.